I'm Jacqueline. I'm sitting on my balcony, looking at the small wooden chair I bought in Florence. It's been a while since that fateful engagement dinner, and so much has changed. That night, I was at a rooftop restaurant for my younger brother Leo's engagement dinner with his fiancée, Isabella. I'd arrived early, dressed in a tailored black blazer and a pair of sleek slacks. The place was beautifully decorated, with soft Edison bulbs swaying in the breeze and a small jazz trio playing in the corner. I held a bottle of fine wine and a custom-made card in my hands, hoping this time would be different. But as soon as I walked in, Leo just lazily raised his hand and said, "Hey, Jacqueline, you made it." Then he motioned to a folding chair next to a plastic trash bin. "That table's for family, but we've got you a spot over there." My mother gave me that tight-lipped smile, and my father raised his glass in an uncomfortable toast. Isabella didn't even look up from her phone. For the next 90 minutes, I sat there, watching them have a great time. They toasted, opened gifts, and Leo gave a speech about finding the one. No one looked my way, no one asked if I'd eaten. When dessert was served, it was an elaborate creation with edible gold flakes. Then, the waiter came over with the bill. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said. "The total comes to $3,218. Should I run the same card we have on file?" Leo casually said, "Jacqueline's got it." I took a slow breath and said, "That's not my table. I was told it was for family only, and I'm over here." There was a stunned silence. My mother froze with her wine glass in mid-air, Isabella looked up for the first time, and her father furrowed his brow. Leo's jaw tightened. The waiter was confused. "But you made the reservation, ma'am," he said. I nodded. "I booked it, paid the $500 deposit, and requested the flowers, but I wasn't welcomed and I didn't eat. I'm not on that table's tab." I stood up, picked up my coat, and walked out. I heard Leo say, "Come on, Jacqueline." It was a joke. "You're seriously doing this?" I didn't turn around. I walked for a while, still holding the unopened bottle of wine. When I got back to my condo, I let the quiet settle. 30 minutes later, I got a message from Leo. "You couldn't just pay and talk to me after." Then my mother's message came. "You embarrassed us in front of Isabella's whole family. Was that your goal?" I silenced my phone, but later an unknown number called. After a few tries, I answered. It was Isabella. Her voice was soft. "Did you really pay for everything? The deposit, the flowers?" I said, "Yeah, I did." She told me that they'd lied to her father, saying Leo planned it all and paid for everything, and that I insisted on sitting apart because I was introverted. I told her I didn't insist on anything. By morning, the family group chat was on fire. Mom said, "Jacqueline, we need to talk." Leo was told to fix things with Isabella's family, and Dad said to just apologize. I didn't respond. As the week went on, things got worse. A friend of Leo's, Mark, messaged me to say that Isabella's father had a meltdown when he found out the truth. The next day, Isabella moved out of Leo's place, and their wedding plans fell apart. Leo tried to call me several times. On the 5th call, I picked up. He was panicked. "My card's not working. It says the account's gone." I simply said, "I closed the account." He accused me of being jealous, but I just laughed. I told him to figure it out on his own. A few hours later, I got an email from Isabella. She wrote that she hadn't realized how things were until everything fell apart. She believed Leo's lies, but after talking to the restaurant manager and getting the itemized receipt, she ended the engagement. She said I was the only one who stayed calm and the only one no one looked at. She apologized for not seeing it sooner. Then, on a Sunday, my mother came to my door with a glass dish of lasagna. She looked tired. She sat at my kitchen table and said, "I owe you an apology." I crossed my arms and waited. She admitted that they didn't see my efforts because they didn't want to. She said I never asked for anything, which made it easy to forget I was always giving. I've always been the reliable one in my family. I'm 38, and I've worked in finance since I was 25. I live alone in a cozy apartment in Seattle. I'm not the favorite, the rebel, or the black sheep. I'm the one who shows up early, pays the bills, and remembers everyone's birthdays. My parents are well-to-do. My father is a lawyer, and my mother is a retired schoolteacher. They've always coddled Leo, who is 3 years younger than me. Leo has a charming personality, but he's irresponsible. He dropped out of college after his sophomore year and has had a series of odd jobs. Every time he got fired, my father blamed the employer, and my mother always said he was just finding his way. I remember once when my father had a minor accident at home. I cut short my vacation and came back to take care of him. Leo said he'd come by if he wasn't too busy at work, but he never did. My mother thanked me and then asked me to pick up her groceries on my way out. I've also had experiences of being overlooked. At a family reunion, I wore a tasteful dress, but in the family photos, I was cropped out. When I mentioned it, my aunt said it was just to fit the layout, and I was expected to understand. I'd always hoped that being useful to my family would earn me a place at their table. But that engagement dinner was the turning point. I realized that love shouldn't be a transaction, and belonging shouldn't require me to carry everyone else's weight. After that, I started taking steps for myself. I canceled a credit card that Leo had borrowed and never returned. I transferred the balance from our shared bank account to my personal savings and closed the account. A few weeks later, I booked a flight to Italy. I'd postponed this trip twice before, once for my father's surgery and once because Leo couldn't watch my place. This time, no one asked, and I didn't offer. In Florence, I walked through the quiet alleys, drank coffee that tasted like thyme, and bought that small wooden chair. When I got home, I placed it on my balcony. Leo hasn't called since. I heard he's back at my parents' place, working odd hours at a startup. The wedding is officially off, and Isabella returned the ring. My parents now message me separately, short notes with no requests. They invited me to Thanksgiving, saying only if you feel up to it. I've bought a set of noise-canceling headphones, started reading real books again, and even found a therapist. I've stopped waiting to be seen. I'm at my own table, and I've chosen my chair. I've learned that being dependable doesn't mean being invisible, and I'm building a life where I'm enough just as I am.